Are you negative minded? Do you continually have negative thoughts that are just overwhelming you, making it hard for you to do anything in life on a personal level or a business level? In this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you something that I utilize in my life that I believe will be able to help you. Now, you will probably see videos all over YouTube, all over the internet that talk about how to get rid of negative thoughts. I'm here to tell you that you cannot get rid of negative thoughts. You cannot get rid of negative thoughts, but you can neutralize them. And I'm going to show you how you have to do it, the way to do it, the process that I utilize to do it. But first, let me just give you some numbers. On a daily basis, and this will also back up what I'm going to share with you, because when I tell you this, you're going to be like, well, damn, Steve, I must be doing it. I just don't know how I'm doing it. And that's exactly what I always talk about, is that a lot of the stuff we do, we're just not conscious that we do it. Would you be surprised if I was to tell you that on an average daily basis, we as humans have 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts per day, negative or positive? 60 to 80,000 thoughts. Could you imagine if you just lined up and you was like, these are thoughts, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're talking about 60 to 80,000 thoughts. Now, here's the breakdown from what the scientists show, is that on a daily basis, 80% from the studies, 80% of those 60 to 80,000 thoughts in our mind are negative. So you might be saying, well, Steve, if 60,000 thoughts, or 80% of our thoughts are negative, 80%, how am I even being able to move forward daily? Well, some people aren't able to move forward daily because they allow those negative thoughts to dominate their life. But even with that, we know that even with a person who lets negative thoughts dominate their life, there is still a whole level of thoughts that are not dominating their life that are negative. So the ones that are intensified negative thoughts are dominating their lives. Now, here's what I've learned and what you need to take out your notes. Get your piece of paper out, write this down, because I need you to get your body moving with this mechanically. Conscious mind, watching, listening. Subconscious mind, understanding something about how it works. So you're going to make that connection. Mind, your body, subconscious, and conscious mind all working together so you can understand and internalize the lesson that I'm about to share with you right now. So if we think about this, this is all thoughts. These are all thoughts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put red for negative. These are negative thoughts that you have. These are negative. I just sprout them all over the place. It could be just certain things that happen in your life or whatever you're thinking about for any reason. And if you want to understand how thoughts and stuff, stories are built, please refer to some of my other videos where I talk about how stories are built, how we put together stories. Something that you need to understand and know, that a lot of these thoughts are not true. These thoughts are not true. What they are, they're experiences or something that you see, and they get connected to true things that maybe happen or things that you believe are true. They don't even have to be true. That's how you could have someone see something and you'd be like, we both saw it, but you're seeing it a different way. It's because they're the way that they build their process for building stories, and what they see is totally different from yours. But for the purposes of this video, we're going to talk about how to get rid of the negative thoughts. But as I said earlier, I was seeing if you were paying attention. I said you can't get rid of negative thoughts. So if we go back to what this said here, that 80% of our thoughts tend to be negative in our mind, that means that there's going to be upper level negative thoughts, and there's going to be lower level negative thoughts. So if it's a lower level negative thought, what would come to your mind? What is going on with that negative thought? Is it just not so important, but it's negative? So what is happening to allow that negative thought to be in your mind and not even you pay any attention to it? This is what it is, and this is what I've learned, and this is what I've learned to do consciously, is that you are neutralizing those negative thoughts. You're allowing other negative thoughts to be dominant in your mind, and you're neutralizing the other thoughts to be, those other thoughts, negative thoughts, to be neutralized in your mind. Another thing, quick lesson, is that works for positive thoughts also. So you can allow certain positive thoughts to be neutralized, and you can allow other positive thoughts to have focus and intensity to them. So, but those would be easy for you to really work with. So let's work with the negative, because the negative is where you have the problems. I already know this. I'm reading your mind through this video. You're saying, Steve, the positive stuff I can handle. Help me get over this negative thought process that just keeps boiling up and dominating my life. And we can see that it's dominating a lot of people's lives. So what you have to do is you have to learn to neutralize. Say it after me. Neutralize, because you can never get rid of a negative thought. You can never get rid of a negative thought. You can never get rid of a negative thought. So let me give you a quick example. How many people do you see things happen to, and it seems like they're able to handle negative things that they're going through? Like, it's like, man, they're just steady. They're just steady. That's because what they do is they practice neutralizing the negative thoughts. See, really, the negative thoughts is just going to be a story builder. So if something negative happens to you, or something negative comes to your mind, what you have to be careful of is starting to build on that story. See, you could see something or have something experience negative, and then you start to mind meld all of that together with other negative experiences to build it up, to intensify it. So what you have to do is you have to practice neutralizing it. Now, one of the things that I do in my mind, I want you to do this. I want you to practice this. Well, before we practice it, what does this mean to you? Okay, now you might be saying, well, Steve, that's the letter X. But what also does the letter X mean? What have you seen X mean in practical use in our country, and maybe even in other countries? It means like it's Xing out. If you watch the Family Feud, like I watch it, they'd be like, wrong, X. When they do the X, everybody forgets about that answer because it was wrong. They put it aside. That's not the answer. So what you do, and this is what I do. So now I want you to stand up. And I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine an X. Just imagine an X. Because what you're going to do is you're going to cross out something negative. So now what I want you to do, keep your eyes closed, stand up, and I want you to raise your hands up a little bit like mine. Open your eyes and look at where my hands are. Reason why I want you to do that is because your subconscious mind is going to wake up when you do this, because it's going to be like something is new, because subconsciously this is normal. This is normal. But now what we're going to do is we're going to wake up the subconscious mind. This is not a normal pattern for you to walk around in. So now we just woke up the conscious mind, we woke up the subconscious mind. Close your eyes right now, and I want you to imagine something negative that has happened, whatever that negative is. And then what I want you to do is I want you to imagine putting an X on it. Now that's the first part of the lesson. That's the easy part of the lesson. That's the easy part. So now open your eyes. So I want you to write that down. The first part of the lesson is that whatever negative that you don't want to have in your mind, a negative thought, so you don't start to build a story to make the negative thought worse, is you're going to imagine putting an X over it. If you got to do this, whatever it is, you put an X over it. That's the first part of neutralizing. But as I stated earlier, when there's people out there, and I would include myself, there's negative things that may happen in my life, and what I have to do is I have to remain steady. You can't get emotional. So what do? Is you have to filter out the feeling. This is going to be the more difficult part of the whole exercise, because once you are able to do this, people are going to see a change in you, and they're going to say that you remain steady. They're going to be like, he's calm, cool, collective. Why don't stuff get you upset? It's not that stuff doesn't get me upset. It's that I don't need stuff to make me go blow up and be all negative and blow up on somebody and have to go and apologize later. No, I manage the feeling. And it's not about internalizing the feeling. If we go off of the study, it says that 80% of our thoughts tend to be negative. That means if you thought that one thought, and we're talking about 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day, all of those other low-level thoughts have to be getting neutralized, but you don't even understand how they get neutralized. You don't even understand the process. The process is what I just explained to you, is that the feeling, you have to separate yourself from the feeling. You can experience something and not have the feeling of it, because whatever happened, whatever it is what it is, and you have to separate yourself from the feeling. So part one is to imagine putting an X over that negative thought. Part two, which is the harder one, you're going to have to practice this, is you have to separate yourself from the feeling. It will take practice. When you start to do that, let me tell you the number one benefit that happens when you start to do that is that you will see the creative side open up for you. The creative side. Now, just in case you saw this video before my other video that I had about how that you got to do away with some people, do away with some thoughts and stuff to be able to open up your mind to have the capacity to do more in your life. That's why I connected these two videos together. Because for you to be able to be successful in business, you're going to have more capacity. But if your capacity is full of negative thoughts that you're bringing up to an intensified level, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to be creative for your business. So if you start to cross off, let's just look at this small example. You just practice crossing off these negative thoughts, separating the feeling, the negative feelings that you have with those negative thoughts. You separated them. They can't go away, but you took away, you neutralized them. If these are all neutralized, if those are all neutralized and they're gone, well, forgive me, not gone, but they're neutralized. They're neutralized. What do you have? This is what happened to me. This is exactly what happened. What I learned is once you did that, I'll just put C. What that C represents is it allowed me to be more creative. It opened up space for me to see things for what they were, and I was able to be more creative to be able to do the things that I need to do for my business. It opened up my mind. It's like if you take away the negative, take away the thoughts, take away those feelings, neutralize them, automatically, this is automatic, I started having more creativity. And think about this even on a personal level in your life. Have you ever just said, I got to get away from this person. I got to get away from this negative person. I got to get away from this negative person. And then once you got away from that negative person, what started happening in your life? So that's why I said we already do this. It's just that we're not consciously aware that it works the same process. What I'm trying to get across to you is that the process is the same. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get away from negative people. It doesn't matter if you're trying to get away from negative thoughts about your business. The process is the same. It's just that most of us had never made that link to be like, oh, the same way I can get away from your negative ass is the same way I can get rid of my negative thoughts about why my business isn't making money. The same process. We always think that we got to go out there and get something new. We got to hear somebody else say it, tell us this new gimmick or what, all that stuff. When all we got to do, like if you want to say what is the bottom line of what you got to do, is you have to learn the processes of how we think as humans, of how we feel as humans. When you do that, you're already on your way. And I can testify to it because that's what I did with my business. With my first company, I always go to my first business, because if I talk about what I was able to do with my other business, you'd be like, well, Steve, you had money, resources, experience, all of that. So let's just go back to when I'm 20 years old. Who's going to trust a 20-year-old in business that didn't go to college? 2 years out of the military, went into the military at age 18, came out at age 20. Married early. We had nothing. Lived in a one-bedroom studio apartment. Working a security guard job from 8 to 4 in the morning. So what do you think I had to do in my thought process when family, friends, people are talking about us saying, what the hell are you doing? Why don't you get a real job? That's not going to work, all of that stuff. What do you think I had to do? What do you think my wife had to do? We had to put those people aside. But it's the same thought processes, because even with the business, we ran into people who said, we're not going to support your business. We don't believe your business can work. I even had a guy whose father was very successful, owned all of these grocery stores in our community. He told me, he said, Steve, my father is rich. I got money. He's got money. I got money. He will support me on anything that I do. And he was in competition with me. He was like, I'm going to beat you just because we had the money and resources. And guess what? My wife and I didn't have the money. We didn't have the resources. But guess what? We beat them. They went out of business. Even with all their money and resources, they went out of business. Just think if I would have just allowed his thoughts to go into my thought process and I internalized it and I let that dominate my thought process. No, I wouldn't be probably not even standing here making this video with you. Don't allow negative thoughts to dominate your life. Post your questions and comments. Do your homework. Watch this video again. I'm going to make a promise. Watch this video again. Put it into your life. You will get results very fast. You will see results. Post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams.